Rita.
Hello, and welcome to Montgomery County Community College on the Air. I am Rita Hodge-Sellers, your host. Today, our guest is Jay Julian, an adjunct professor here at Montgomery County Community College, and he teaches in the criminal justice area. He also recently returned from a UN mission in Kosovo, and we're going to be talking about that today. And since Julian has so much to share with us, and we know that we will not be able to cover all of it today in a 15-minute period, be prepared to also hear more about Julian and Kosovo next Sunday. Julian earned a BA degree from Old Westbury College in New York. He earned a master's in public administration from Long Island University, also in New York. Currently, Jay is a doctoral student at Nova, and his focus is computer technology and education. We're going to be talking further with Julian about his experience in Kosovo as well as here at Montgomery County Community College. For now, we will hear from our sponsor. We're talking this morning with Jay Julian, an adjunct professor here at Montgomery County Community College, who recently returned from Kosovo. Jay, what do you do here at the college?
Well, as an adjunct professor here at the college, I teach several of the criminal justice courses and on occasion some of the computer courses. Recently, I had the opportunity to teach, or I should say pioneer, distance learning course. Probably it's the second one now that's available in the criminal justice area, which is affordable to all students and they can take it anywhere.
That's great, and I understand you're going to tell us more about this. Now, recently you returned from Kosovo, but during that time, am I correct in thinking that you were able to continue with your work here at Montgomery County Community College?
You're absolutely correct.
And how did you do that?
Modern technology of satellite. I was able to conduct my new online distance learning course from Kosovo, teaching students back here in Pennsylvania.
And did you get feedback from the students?
Oh, absolutely. We had regular chat sessions. We had emails going continuously. They forwarded their papers as zipped files, etc. And it worked out fine, provided there was electricity and so forth to maintain communication.
Jay, I must ask you, how did it feel to be communicating with students and teaching a course so far away?
Well, I said to myself, my goodness, this has got to be a first. No one has ever done this before. And my students are now a part of history in the making.
You are probably correct as it relates to Montgomery County Community College. And moving right along, why did you happen to go to Kosovo, and why did you go at this point in time in your career and in your life?
Well, as a member of the International Police Association, I came across an ad on the internet, a call for instructors to go to Kosovo. And it was a very arduous process to get selected, and I really didn't think I was going to be selected in the very beginning because it took so long to do the background investigation, like 6 months. And I was one of 700 candidates, and out of the 700, only 15 were selected to go to Kosovo. So that was quite an honor for me to be selected. And the experience is an indelible one that will be, for lifetime memories.
Would it be an invasion of your privacy to ask what were some of the issues in selecting the individuals that they would send? I'm just kind of interested in the criteria, and I must say we certainly consider it an honor here at Montgomery County Community College that one of our faculty was selected to participate in such a significant mission.
Well, believe it or not, one of the highest criteria they had in their background investigation, which came to light as a result of people calling me back saying, hey, do you know this guy is calling up and asking questions about you, turned out to be, does this person have a good sense of humor? And I was kind of surprised at that question when I said, gee, that's interesting. Also, the other criterion, obviously, was they wanted someone who had platform experience, teaching experience, knowledge of the law, etc., and good teaching background, as well as at least minimum of 12 years of police experience, actual on-the-street experience.
12 years of experience?
As a minimum, yeah.
And you say they talk to your neighbors?
They talk to all my customers out there, all my relatives, friends in the neighborhood. They went back as far as 10 years in their background investigation. And of course, everybody was calling me. I thought I had covered everyone and said, by the way, you're going to get a phone call from this gentleman, feel free to tell him whatever he asks. And I thought I had covered everyone, but there's always someone that you miss,
It sounded like they really wanted to know who they were sending over there.
Yeah, they were very careful in their selection process. In fact, all of the Americans that went were very high caliber, top drawer people. mostly retired. Everything from former police chiefs from as far away as Minnesota to Florida and all over the country. It was amazing. I met people from not only in the United States but from around the world at the same time, which is a tremendous experience.
I was going to say that's probably an experience that you will value for years and years to come.
Yeah, I said to myself, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You know, it's a challenge that I could not resist, and being an international challenge even made it that much greater. Some people saw it as an experiment, being able to test the academic in the real-world situation.
Yes.
I saw it as more than that. I saw it as an opportunity to gain professional experience at an international level, and at the same time learn from my colleagues and make new friends, and again also be a part of history in the making.
Did you find that what you had used in the past worked well for you?
It was a game of trial and error. Some things that I applied here in the classroom did not work well there, and other things that I used here worked even better there. For example, the class did not have textbooks of their own. They had to take copious notes. And of course, everything was interpreted twice, once in Albanian and once in Serbian, because the classes are mixed. And of course, there's that delay time in getting the information across, so it took a tremendous amount of discipline mentally to stay on track. And then, of course, you have to wait for the response to come back. So trying to do American humor in the classroom was extremely difficult.
Well, the other thing I would imagine you have there, humor frequently focuses on the nuances in a language, and I would imagine it makes using humor even more difficult.
Yes, extremely so. I always practiced where I could to see what kind of reaction I would get. For example, can I give you an example, real quick one? There was a new language assistant who came into the police service group and was introduced and kind of left on his own. So I went over to talk to him, try to make him feel more at home and comfortable. And I kind of led him on a little bit with some American humor. I said, we're starting to work 6 days a week now, and I'm going to have to give up my part-time job as a lifeguard in a car wash downtown. And stopped, and his face was deadpan for about 30 seconds, and then suddenly the smile started to creep across his face, and he started to laugh. Oh, I got it, American humor. You teach me American humor. I said, I'll make you my understudy.
Jay, tell me, when you arrived, get back up just a little bit, what did you find when you arrived? And was it consistent with what you expected?
Not at all. The country was totally devastated, and of course we arrived in the dark, which made it even worse.
Worse or better, because you couldn't see
out. Well, because the conditions were so deplorable. I mean, the odor of raw sewage was everywhere, and the trash is thrown out on the streets. There's no trash pickup. You couldn't drink the water.
There's no infrastructure.
No infrastructure, no rule of law. I mean, there's no courts, no judges, no nothing, no criminal justice system whatsoever.
Was that frightening for you?
Yeah, because you had to rely upon the military, the K4, Kosovo force, to really supply any kind of protection. We were forbidden from carrying any firearms.
Yes.
Under OSCE contract, which is the Organization of Security and Cooperation in Europe.
Was that consistent with what you had expected? I would imagine there was some preparation. Usually when you go to a place like that, there's someone who meets with you and prepares you for what, or did that happen, prepares you for what it might be like when you arrive?
Well, actually, we had several days of orientation in Vienna at OSCE headquarters, and then we were flown via a Russian charter plane to Pristina, which is the capital. And then again, we spent another 3 or 4 days with orientation, so we, in the OSCE headquarters, to learn about the cultural kinds of things that we were up against, to learn some of the customs, to get, information on security, which was your own personal issue, issued radios and so forth.
So when you arrived, having had this orientation, did you find the country was pretty consistent with what you had expected based on the orientation that you had received? Or did you find that even though you'd had the orientation, you still weren't quite prepared for what you saw?
Well, we were always learning something new all of the time, and we would get together as a group, usually in the evening for dinner, and discuss all the rumors that we heard during the day and find out which ones were fact and which ones were fiction. So it became a challenge to say, my God, guess what I heard today? Mm-hmm. There's no mail service here. There's no banking. Mm-hmm. You can't cash a check. You can't use a credit card. They're non-existent. You just don't do that.
So did you have any contact with your family while you were there? I mean, was there really any way for you to, well, of course you were online with your students, did you use that also to contact your family?
Yeah, email was the only real form of communication with the outside world. The electronic system, was up most of the time until we had the "I love you" virus, which hit us.
So the I love you virus hit you even there?
Yes, knocked everything out for about 5 days, and of course there was no communication whatsoever during that time.
So it took a while then for you to get back online once that happened, huh?
Mm-hmm. Now, the interesting thing I did in that case was I had my students send all of their homework assignments to my email address at home, and my wife put them together in a zip file. So this way, in the event I should get even a few minutes online, she would send it, and then I would get it and unzip it, and I would have all their homework assignments and still be up to speed.
Wives are good to have around, aren't they?
Yes. In fact, she was a great help. She put together the most fantastic first aid kit you ever saw.
Jay, we're going to have time to talk further about this because we're doing 2 broadcasts. But now, would you like to pull together a final thought that you'd like to leave with our audience today? And we'll hear from our sponsor and be right back. We're talking with Jay Julian, who is sharing with us his experiences as a UN mission, on a UN mission in Kosovo. Jay, you have a final thought you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Well, actually, it's a plea and a call for help from the public, really. I would like to see us contact our state senator and see if we can't get the American police instructors access to the American PX in Kosovo. This is a source of food supply because we don't eat anything unless it comes out of a sealed container or a can or a vacuum packed or whatever. And we've been isolated from that facility for a number of months now, and they really rely heavily upon that avenue for food. If that's closed, then the only alternative is to go to the border across Macedonia, which takes anywhere from 2.5 to 5 hours to cross the border just to buy food in return. So having the PX available is a biggie.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous too.
Yes, very dangerous.
Well, Jay, you and I are going to talk further, and next Sunday we will be continuing our discussion on Kosovo. But for now, we want to thank you for listening to Montgomery County Community College on the Air, and please join us next Sunday to learn more about your college. So long for now.
Dr. Rita Hodge-Sellers will host an informative chat about your community college. Hello, Rita.
Hello, and welcome to Montgomery County Community College on the Air. I am Rita Hodge-Sellers, your host. Our guest today is Jay Julian, an adjunct faculty member at Montgomery County Community College in the Department of Criminal Justice. Jay recently returned from a UN mission in Kosovo, and he's going to be sharing information with us regarding that experience. He earned a BA degree from the College of Old Westbury in New York, a master's in public administration from Long Island University in New York, and he is presently a doctoral student at Nova, and his focus is computer technology and education. We're going to talk further with Jay about his experience in Kosovo, but for now we will hear from our sponsor. Jay, last Sunday we began talking about your experience in Kosovo, and I think the last thing we talked about were the difficulties you had in obtaining food, and that the PX on the base, or that was near you, wasn't available to you, and I guess that's because you were a civilian?
Yes, we're considered individual or independent contractors.
So what was it like trying to obtain food? What exactly went into that?
Well, we would always try to, find out where all the local PXs were, and there were multiple PXs from various countries. And one location was called Film City, which had several PXs, but they were basically small metal shipping containers that didn't contain much in the way of food. The main base at Camp Bonsteel is where you really wanted to get into the PX because it had just about everything. On many occasions we would travel as far as Turkey to bring back meats and so forth that we could pack in ice. They were very helpful to us in that respect when we told them where we were from. And they said, come with me and we'll fill up your chest with ice and you pack all your stuff and we'll take care of it. And they were really very good to us.
Now, Jeff, I might interrupt you. You said you would travel to Turkey. I must admit my lack of information, so I'm not sure how far that was. Was that a matter of 15 minutes, half an hour, 2 hours? What kind of time and energy was involved in getting to Turkey from Kosovo?
Well, first you had to cross the Macedonian border, which took anywhere from 2.5 to 5 hours. And then you had to cross the Turkish border as well. And you're talking about a 6-hour ride nonstop to get to Turkey. So,
and what were the roads like?
well, the roads once you get out of Kosovo improve dramatically. In Kosovo, the roads are mined, and you can't go on any of the soft shoulders. And you're instructed not to drive, or actually to drive only on hard surface roads. So you got to be very careful. But once you got out of the country, things improved dramatically.
So there was quite an investment then just in getting food, which is a basic.
Yeah, and because we had to structure ourselves, the the other 3 people that I live with, we had to structure ourselves very carefully into tasks. And we had a minister of finance who was our central bank, and he held all the money because there's no banking system. So he's walking around, on the average of $60,000 or $70,000 in cash. With 4 different kinds of currencies. We had Deutschmarks, we had drachma, we had dinars, we had shillings, and of course US dollars. And it got to be very complicated every time you wanted to make a transaction.
So the transaction may not have been in dollars. It was according to what currency whomever you were dealing with accepted.
All right, which country am I in now, and how do I make that conversion?
So did you find yourself having to do a lot of math and to make sure that you were paying the right amount for what you were purchasing?
Yeah, we had to carry a cheat sheet.
Oh, okay.
And of course, we were fortunate in some cases where in Macedonia, for example, we would shop in a supermarket and we would find at customer service someone who could speak English. Because the other problem we had was disease, and we were trying to buy bottles of bleach in order to wash the bathrooms down. And of course, we would rely on pictures, and there's no pictures on a bleach bottle, so we're walking up and down aisles sniffing to see which one was the bleach.
That was my next question I was going to ask. Did you find interpreters in most of these places, or?
Yes, actually you do. You find a lot of people that do speak English, and it's being taught very early on in the schools. We met one family in Macedonia whose youngest daughter, Milka, had started learning English in the 5th grade, and they use American textbooks. And there they have no summer school. It's pass or fail. I mean, they're very adamant about it. And she walks to school 3 miles every day each way, up and down this mountain.
So our students should understand how lucky they are.
Oh yeah, they have no idea how grateful they should be living in this country.
Jay, what would you identify as the 3 major problems that you encountered during your stay in Kosovo?
Well, the first one obviously is your own personal security and safety. The second one would be disease, and the third one would be obviously food in order to survive. And I would think I'll throw in a 4th one, a sense of humor.
We want to talk more about that. I want to come back to that. But let's talk about the health issue. How did you receive health care? Because you were there for how long?
I was there from February until May.
So that's about
4 months.
4 months. So during that period of time, and with the country that didn't have an infrastructure in place, the possibility of becoming ill is great. What kind of health care was available to you as well as to the citizens of Kosovo?
Well, the first thing I did before I even went over is I got my own personal health care coverage from a company called Medijet. In the event that I got seriously ill, they had permission from the State Department to go into a no-fly zone and take my body out of there.
Hopefully to take your person out of there.
It was a fully equipped, hospital-oriented type aircraft, and they would fly you to wherever you wanted to go, whatever hospital, and that was good. But getting sick in